It's Pete that the general to know the podcast. You keep your body clean, man. Yeah. I know they ain't had no intro, so I just had to do mine. So, boom, this day show. About to give it to them. This is the premiere of Hour with the Elders. Special mental health episode. And it's the guest story, so I'm gonna let her tell it. So without further ado, here we go.
Perform shortly.
All right.
I'm about to head to the city and about to leave. Already leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Do what?
I can't hear nothing.
So you can hear them?
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Y'all hear
Good
me?
evening. Good evening.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
we
We
do.
sure do.
All right. All right. I'm doing it off the phone. I couldn't get the tablet to work right.
Welcome to Hour with the Elders.
Yes.
Hey,
It
Ma,
sounds
I just
good.
want
From
to say that my
24/7
Hey,
bad.
my love.
Grind Inc. Miss
I know you had
Dorothy,
to.
you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Dorothy Harris. I'm from New Orleans, born and raised in the city, and currently living in Baton Rouge. Um, and I'm honored to be here for this new journey that God is going to bless.
Come on, God gonna bless. Mr. Johnson.
Good evening. Good evening. Carlos Johnson, New Orleans. From New Orleans, resident of Alabama at the time. Again, just to be a blessing. Associate minister, amongst other things. Glad to be here.
Awesome. My name is Reggie Barlow, originally from Austin, Texas. And I do have an adopted family here, so I don't know if that makes me kind of a pseudo New Orleanian. Can I be a pseudo?
You in the house. You in the
All
house.
right. And our guest on today, our special guest, I have been practicing her name. And welcome to Hour with the Elders on the 24 Grind, DELASBER Griffin Sanders. I did better the first time, didn't I?
Yes, ma'am, you did. That's quite all right. Hi, I am DELASBER Griffin Sanders, and I am originally from Winsboro, Louisiana, and currently living in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I am the proud mother of an amazing little girl who has autism, and I am here to shed some light on my life and help somebody grow theirs. And I'm a PK too.
A PK kid. For those of you who may not know, that is a preacher's kid because we do have a vast audience. So everybody might not know what PK means.
I was going to ask.
Miss, you prefer Miss D? Can we just sum it up to Miss D today?
You can just call me Dee Dee.
Dee Dee, okay. Dee Dee, each one of us may have questions for you. And so we're just going to open it up and we're really going to let you be able to tell your story, but guide it through maybe a few questions to kind of keep it in a focused, if you don't mind. And please feel free to say, do, skip. It doesn't have to be in a certain flow. However your heart feels is how it feels, okay? Is there, Miss Dorothy, Mr. G, did you have anything before the first question?
No, I just want y'all to know I have my little grandbaby here with me. So if y'all hear they know us, this is Galala.
That's the great thing about podcasts to me.
Beautiful.
That's the great thing about podcasts to me. You know, we're building it in the air. You know, it's no, we don't have to put anybody in the closet or anything, you know.
She's about to get mad with me. Her daddy didn't charge her phone and she's trying to get the phone.
Oh, she is. They love it.
Yeah,
But
that's why I was trying to get my tablet so I could have gave it my phone. But
Miss Didi, share with us, open us up about how did your parents name you DELASBER?
That's a funny
unique
thing.
name. That's a unique name.
I am, strangely enough, I'm adopted, and my adopted mother told me that she had nothing to do with naming me, but she told me that she would tell everybody that when she was in labor, she said, "This is the last birth," and it came out DELASBER. And that's why she
Oh,
named me that.
okay.
I really don't know where it came from. My biological mother never told me.
Okay. I want to say that I saw you play the organ, and it's one of those organs that in the Baptist church you really wanted to scream, you know. You played it very well. And the piano as well. Can you share with us right now how it makes you feel during this journey when you're playing that organ or that piano?
Wow. If you saw me playing the organ, that was probably the last time I ever touched it. Uh, it's interesting because when I play the piano, I completely leave. I'm not there. I don't know what's around me. I don't know if anybody is around me. I don't know anything at all. I'm in a world to myself, and it gives me a peace that I cannot really explain. That's when people talk about their place that they want to go to get peace and to get calm and to get serenity, the piano is mine. So
How long have you been playing?
I started taking piano when I was 4 years old.
Okay.
And I played for church from the age of 7 to the age of 41.
Mr. Carlos, Miss Dorothy, did you have anything at this point?
Not
No,
right now. I'm just listening at the moment.
Okay,
right.
I just want to make sure because I'm gonna tell you I will talk. Okay, so
Can I,
raise your
can I
hand
ask
before
something?
we get into any other questions.
Can I
Yes,
ask
Peanut has a
something?
question.
Can I ask something?
Peanut has a question.
Speak.
Have you ever met your biological mother? And I'm gone. I'm sorry. I'm
no,
gone.
no, no, no. Good, good, good.
I did. I did meet her. That's some of my trauma that I had to overcome. But I was blessed to meet her. I am blessed in that I was adopted within my family. I am adopted by my biological father's sister. So I grew up with half of my family. And my biological mother, I was able to meet in person 3 times in my life before she transitioned.
Wow, wow, wow. And I'm gonna take pauses. I like sometimes for us to just settle right kind of where we are for a moment, you know, and digest a thing, you know. So, do you remember, or did you want to open up and before there was um, Amory? Did I pronounce that correct?
Well, you have to
Not
go
quite,
with it.
but keep talking.
Say it. Pronounce it for me.
It's
The
Amory,
the question cut. I didn't
Amory.
even hear what it was.
Amory.
like
Before you,
Amos.
okay, Amory. Before you were pregnant with Amory, tell us what your life was like.
Ooh, my life was what I thought perfect. Uh, I was a technology facilitator at home in my home parish. I had taught for 15 years. I was won the title of Region 8 Middle School Teacher of the Year. I was on cloud 9, as they might say. But I did not have what I always wanted in my life, which was a child of my own. And I think that goes back to being able to have a child and be the actual mother of that child. Because although I was raised in a wonderful setting, I always felt less than because I felt like my mother didn't want me. So I grew up thinking if your own mother doesn't want you, who will want you? So I wanted to make sure that I had somebody that knew that I wanted them. Um, and by the age of 35, when I didn't have one, I said, okay, Evidently, God has decided that all these children that I teach are supposed to be my children. So right now, I probably have 50 or 60 of them that still call me mama now. But he decided that I wouldn't have one until I was 41. So that I was pretty happy, had settled in my life and had decided, okay, this is my life. This is what it's going to be. I'm not going to be anybody's mother, so I'm going to deal with the situation that I have.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
Can I ask something, please? Miss D, did your outlook on your mother affect your outlook on the world in any way? I'm sorry. I'm out, y'all. I'm sorry.
I wanted to
Say
ask
that
on my mother,
again,
but I didn't want to.
He said, did that affect
Did the outlook?
did that affect your perspective, your outlook on your biological mother, the fact that you were adopted?
The fact that I was adopted, I despised my biological mother for so long because I always wanted to know, how could anybody leave their child? How could you give birth? So it made me look at life differently, and it made me treat my students differently than I think I might would have treated them had I been in my biological mother's household. I reached out and I touched children in their hearts and souls more so than just in their minds, in their brains. I had to make a connection with them to show them that I was going to be there.
Do you find peace in your biological mother today? Miss Sanders, do you find peace in your life with your biological mother today?
I can't say it's peace, Miss Dorothy. I can tell you that I find acceptance.
Okay.
See, when did you realize the trauma behind it? Did you realize you were traumatized at an early age, or did it come in your adolescent or adult years?
Oh no, I realized at like 6 and 7 that it was traumatic for me.
Did it make it hard for you to get along with other children in your age group at that time?
Yes, because I was teased.
Okay.
How much do you know about trauma? Because unfortunately for us in the Black community, trauma is considered taboo. It's not something we discuss at home. We aren't the type to go to a shrink because we're quick to say we aren't crazy, not knowing that trauma is generational for us.
Correct.
It's passed down through what is known as epigenetics, which changes the structure, if you will, in our DNA. It doesn't rearrange our DNA. It rearranges and codes our DNA, meaning that whatever our ancestors went through that caused them trauma in their lives that went undealt with, all of it has been passed down with each and every passing generation. So if and when we experience similar situations, the DNA is already coded to respond in a certain way because it's been passed down.
Exactly. And I think in a way that is one of the main reasons that I sought help for myself, because I was, as the old people say, even though this expression never made any much sense to me, they say hell bent and body bound. I'm heaven bent and body bound, that my daughter does not experience this.
Right.
Did your mother experience abandonment? Your biological mother, did she experience abandonment?
Yes.
Because hurt people hurt people.
Hurt people, you took it right out of my mouth, sister. That's why I asked, because normally we repeat the cycle. That's part of that Willie Lynch syndrome.
Right.
And that's why I asked that.
And I
Yes.
think if one day when y'all completely find peace with each other, really forgiveness, it'll help you. And it's not for her, but it's for your own healing.
Oh yeah, and I'm honestly working on it. A lot of times I think that I have until like I thought I was okay until you asked me that question.
Right.
And when you asked me that question, I had to be honest, and I started thinking. I was like, not really. Peace is not there. But I'm blessed that I had a husband who, when our daughter was born, sent for her and brought her from Detroit to Baton Rouge to be with me. And she spent a week here with me.
Right.
And we were able to do a little bit of talking, but he knew that I needed that to say, this is what I'm not going to do with my
Right.
child.
Right.
And it helped me a little bit to try to get over it. She's gone now, but
Mm-mm.
I'm still every day making sure that I do what I need to do so that my daughter doesn't have to reap my trauma situation in that
Right.
sense.
Right. And I'm sure you're doing a great job.
I'm trying.
You're
I
doing.
don't know about great,
You
but I'm
are.
trying.
You are. God
Wow.
walks with you. You don't walk alone.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask one more question? Can I ask a question?
That's that student keep raising his hand in the background. Yes. Yes.
Miss D, at what
Yes.
point did you get the news that your child was gonna be autistic? Did you know pre delivery, or did you find out after delivery?
Oh, we gonna get to that.
I'll give you the short version. I did not know pre-delivery that we were going to have any issues at all. Uh, I did not get an official diagnosis of her being autistic until she was 3 years old. I got a very late diagnosis for what's socially and medically needed for our children. I should have been diagnosed earlier, but I
What was the
wasn't.
signs?
Is it any history on your mom's side or your dad's side of any mental illness, if you know?
On my biological father's side, I had, you know how we as African Americans say we had that one cousin that went to the insane asylum. Well, I found
Mm-hmm.
out that I had that one cousin that went to the insane asylum. Now, I don't know what happened with her. I really don't know anything at all about it. Um, but I just found out through Ancestry DNA, Ancestry.com, that my biological mother's side has quite a lot. It kind of threw me for a bit. Um, Growing up not knowing that side of the family and then doing the ancestry, I even found out that the person she thought was her father was not.
We have a
So
question in the audience. Miss Hooks here, Yana. Want to know what were some of the signs you noticed?
is that one of the signs for autism?
Yeah. What
Um,
were some of the signs for?
What are some that you noticed?
for my daughter, it was being nonverbal. It was the no. My daughter did everything up until 11 months, right on target. And then at 11 months, she stopped basically playing with me. She stopped chattering. She stopped doing what we call the normal things that an 11-month-old would do. Uh, she didn't walk until she was 14 months old. And when she did walk, she walked on her tiptoes. She would get excited and she would do this. That was her excitement then. Uh, so it's just little things that I noticed. But the interesting thing is, even as an educator, I was noticing it,
Right.
but I wasn't comprehending it myself to where I was able to say, you know what, I really should have gotten her evaluated long before I did. I should have forced the condition. Um, because enforcing the issue, I could have gotten her things like early steps here in Louisiana that she needed to get her that foundation that she needed.
Do you think it's right to diagnose a child at 3 years old? I mean, because they not just talking basically, and I deal with some of the same things you're saying, walking on the tippy toes and stuff like that, or the little shouting with the hand. But I always keep thinking like she gonna talk. She's just 3 years old. You think they should wait before they label our kids as autism at such a young age because it carries them throughout life?
Now, this is my thing with that. To be short with my answer, no, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I think they need to be labeled. I think we need to make the steps to give our children what they need. And the way we can give our children what they need is to give them a label and say they're developmentally delayed, their speech is delayed. We need these
Right.
therapies. And these therapies
Right.
are things that are going to help them get to where they need to be. If your child is not speaking at 2, that child needs speech therapy. We just need to get it. Now, that doesn't
Right.
mean my daughter may not ever speak.
Okay.
She may not. I don't know. But what I do know is I'm doing everything in my power now to give her the ability to communicate. I don't really care now if she ever speaks. I
Right.
just
Right.
want her able to communicate her wants,
Amen.
her needs, her
Yes.
desires, her
Yes.
wishes, and her intelligence. Because we seem to think that non-speaking or non-verbal is non-intelligent, and that is not the truth.
Right.
What
And
do
that
you believe? What do you believe caused you to not take her for diagnosis earlier on?
listening to the medical profession and kind of like Miss Dorothy said, she's not speaking now. She'll talk.
Right. Right.
She's slimming now. She's just excited.
I didn't even know that you're not talking really would have something to do with autism because my son started talking late and he speaks well. And like I said, my little granddaughter right here, right now, she's 3 years old and she's been diagnosed because she don't talk. But she's very smart and communicate well. She just started the therapy school and stuff.
Okay. See, so that's what she needs. And there's a possibility, there's always a possibility that she could speak. My daughter does not speak.
She make noise. She make noise. She don't make words.
Right. And see, Amory, when she was 6 years old, she said, I have the key.
Mm-hmm.
Just like she had been talking all her life. She wanted to get outside. She's 12 years old now. She wanted to get outside, and we have to unlock the door with the key for her to go out to the back room. Well, she wanted her cousin to take her outside, so she got her to come, and she told her cousin, she said, wait, Aim, I have to get the key. And Amory said, I have the key. Like she had been talking all her life. And then at 9, her occupational therapist was able to get her to say mama.
Right.
And at 10, she just blurted out, I believe God.
Amen.
And what I said was, it took her those 4 years to get out one sentence, because I truly believe that the sentence she was saying was, I have the key, mama, I believe God. And I'm living and I'm walking in that now with everything that I go through. She has the key. Now,
Right.
it seems like the key is me for a second. Is there are certain things I have to do, that I have to be, and I have to get myself together to be able to stand for her or to speak for her right now. I'm her key, and that's what I do. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. From you being a teacher, right, Miss D, did you have any I guess experience with dealing with mental health before your daughter? I'm sorry, y'all.
We're gonna get to these questions because he's taking our questions.
Being a teacher, I did have some interaction with mental health, not a whole lot. not a whole lot, but I did have some because we have a tendency to not put our special needs children in certain classes.
Okay.
And
How often do you see traumatized children in your classroom setting? Do you feel as though you have a lot of children in your class that are experiencing trauma?
I did when I was teaching, and I do now that I watch some children that I've been around. There's so much trauma. There's so much trauma. And what we really have to remember is I haven't been in the classroom since my daughter was born. I've been at home with her because I decided that I didn't want to go to the classroom until she could tell me what somebody was doing to her.
Right.
I let her talk. So I'm still not there.
Do you feel that it's intentional in the school system for them not to have classes set up and designed for students with mental health needs?
Let it charge.
I'm not going to say that I feel that it's intentional. What I'm going to say is I feel that they don't see the necessity for it.
That's alarming.
The children that are in need of this don't look like some of the people that are setting it up.
Delala.
Well, yeah.
What was your first thought when you got the news that your bundle of joy was going to have health issues? How did it make you feel?
I'm almost shameful to say this, but when I first got the news, I climbed in my bed and I covered my head for an entire week and cried.
Right.
Because I was an educator. So I knew in the educational world what that meant for my child. I knew that she would be put off in a corner and nobody would care. I knew that was going to happen. And I could not see a future. And my aunt, who was also an educator, told me, because I talked to her one day and I said, T, did Mama tell you about Amory? And she said, what about her? And I said, did she tell you that she's autistic? And T said, well, yeah, she told me that. And I said, well, what do you feel about that? She said, well, you're looking all sad and down and depressed. And I said, well, I don't understand. T, how can you be smiling? This is not, it's not something you can smile about. This is her life. The life that I thought I was going to have with my little girl. I was going to be able to teach her how to cook. I was going to be able to go places, do these little princess things. And she said, now, and she had this southern drawl out this world. And she talked really slowly. And she said, now, DELASBER, I don't know. But I talked to God about it. And he told me that she was going to be a leader of her people. Now, I don't know who her people are. And I don't know where she's going to lead them. But I know she's going to lead them. So I don't have to worry about her. I just need to know, are you going to be okay?
And I think that would go back with the next question I want to ask you. How were you mentally and spiritually, or how was you mentally and spiritually prepared for this type of parenting? Was it easy, or for you out of a mother's love, or did you see you kind of had to grow with your baby? Well, you kind of answered it, or with what you just said, with
I
how it made you feel.
I will tell you this, Miss Dorothy. The one thing that I think is a true blessing for me is that God gifted me this little girl
Right.
at the right time.
Amen.
If I had had Amory when all of my friends or all of my peers were having their babies, I would not have made it. I was not strong enough emotionally. I was not strong enough mentally. I was not strong enough spiritually to be able to handle it. But at 41, after I had lived my life and I had taught on levels of children, God decided to give me a child that was going to need everything that he had made me go through the past 40 years before I could get her.
Right.
So I believe I was more prepared than I thought I was, if that makes sense.
Right. We have another question for you by Ms. Yana Hooks or Ms. General. Are you satisfied with the resources available? She feels like Louisiana lacks resources compared to other states. What's your opinion of that?
I'm going to say this as nicely as I possibly can.
It's your opinion. I mean, all inside is how I
Louisiana
want it.
sucks. Louisiana sucks.
Right.
And
Just like them folks.
it's, I have much problems with the resources and the lack of them. I have problems with the way the resources that we do have are handled. I have problems with the educational system in Louisiana. I have problems with a lot of things here. Can't say that I'll stay here. But right now, after losing her father and her grandmother, I'm just trying to keep her on an even keel. And I don't want to change too many things for her right now.
Right. Right.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Oh, no, thank you.
Yes. Yes. Condolences.
I wanted to ask you, if you don't mind, as we're going down the same vein, would you allow us to take a peek into your and Amory's day-to-day life? What is it like on a daily basis with you and your daughter?
Well, first let me give a disclaimer. Amory has multiple diagnoses. Not only do we have autism, and she is listed as, I don't like levels, but the levels are what they use to give us services that we need. She's listed as a level 3. That means she's nonverbal. She cannot do her daily routines life. She can't comb her hair. She can't do all this stuff. But it to me, when you talk about levels, we're talking about what they can't do.
Right.
We're talking about what they can do. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, she also has epilepsy. She also has a disease called myasthenia gravis. She also has asthma. She also has pica. She also has prolonged QT interval. She has a peg tube. Now, day-to-day life is challenging for me. I don't necessarily know that it's challenging for Amory. Sometimes I think that, I'm sorry?
I say she has the key.
Oh yeah, she has the key. Sometimes I think that we as parents put our feelings and our emotions onto our children that they don't necessarily have. You know, like, for example, I always worried because Amory didn't have friends. And, you know, all moms want to be able to have these birthday parties for their babies where all their friends come over, and I didn't have that. We have parties, but it's not her friends coming over to be with her, you know. And I go, but she's got to feel bad because she doesn't have friends. I don't know that Amory cares one way or the other that she doesn't have friends.
Do you think that's part of your childhood trauma?
Huh?
Do you think that's part of your childhood trauma, wanting that for her?
I don't know if that's part of my childhood trauma, wanting that for her, but it could possibly be. Yeah, I'll say that because it's an acceptance thing. It's an acceptance aspect.
That's what made me ask, because I mean, nobody wants to feel or be abandoned. You were not created for abandonment. We were all created as social beings. So for you to experience that early on in your life, it would be automatic for you not to want that for your own child. And that's why I was asking the birthdays you didn't get to experience with your peers at that age because of your situation. Unfortunately, automatically you would want the opposite for Amory.
Oh yeah, and I did. You know, I found myself. I have pictures of Amory from the day she was born. Strangely enough, until she was about 9 or 10, every single day. I write her a letter every week to her email and send it to her email because I always wanted, and I started it when I found out I was pregnant. I set her up an email and I wrote her an email. And then I have it all in a file. So when she gets to the point where she can read, she can, do these things, or she can have somebody read them to her, because I wanted her to know how much her mama wanted her.
Positive affirmations.
Right.
So you remember the first day when you found out you was pregnant?
Oh, yes, ma'am. I sure do. Yes, ma'am. I took 2 pregnancy tests that day, and I took 9 like the next week.
Why so many?
I had to make sure.
She couldn't believe it. She couldn't believe it.
Peanut said, "Where does your strength come from?"
Peanut, the only person I can tell you, the only thing I can tell you is God. It's the fact that every morning when I wake up, I realize that that's another day that He has blessed me with to have this little girl.
So looking at some of your videos, talk to me about your Transparent Tuesdays and your Warrior Wednesdays. It's like you come back the next day and it's like, okay, now you have the key.
And
so
that's literally
your Transparent Tuesdays.
That's literally what happens. And I can be, today is Monday, but I can be transparent. My daughter can't walk anymore. Now, this has happened over the past year. And myasthenia gravis did it. So I was able to just say, come on, Aim, let's go to the store. Come on, Aim, let's do this. Come on, Aim, let's do this. I can't do that anymore. And I have some nurses who come in and help, and they're wonderful. But they both have SUVs. I have a CT6 Cadillac. So on yesterday, my nurse didn't come because she's not here on Sundays. And I said, okay, Amory, let's go riding. Mommy's going to take you riding. We're going to go riding because we were the big dogs yesterday. We were going to be out by a good time. And I couldn't get her from her wheelchair to my car. And she ended up on the ground.
Oh man.
And it was really kind of devastating for me. My next door neighbor, across the street neighbor, came over and helped me get her up into her wheelchair. And then we had to come back into the house and I had to put her back into her bed. And she was annoyed and aggravated. And I was annoyed and aggravated at myself and feeling like you can't even take care of your own child. I was in my pity party state. And she was aggravated because she wanted to go somewhere and she couldn't. So her means of communication when she can't get what she wants out right is to attack. And she dug into me.
Aww.
And I knew what it was, but it was just like so whatever to me. She has a bed that has bed rails up. And I closed all the bed rails and I went to my room and I just climbed in the bed and cried. And I posted yesterday, I think, check on your friends because these strong people that you think are strong are not. And I had to say, today I am not okay.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to be able to say that.
Yeah.
Because I was always the person that no matter what happened, I was the strength. I was the person that was going to get it done. It was not going to be a problem. Now, when all of it was said and done and it was all over with, I would collapse in tears, but nobody would ever see that. Right. I would never let the world see, like they say, never let them see you sweat. I'd never let them see you sweat. But what I found was the people that I work with started telling me, we don't see any problems with you. Your daughter's always smiling. Your daughter's always, that's like, y'all just don't know. This little girl just, so I started being a little bit more vulnerable and showing people. And when she was in the hospital in last May, she was in the hospital from May 15th to August the 1st last year. I went live every day, letting people see her on the ventilator, letting people see me almost break down when they tell me she's not coming out of here, just because I had to be vulnerable and show people what was the learning process to communicate with her. Ooh. So I think that in itself is my strength coming from him saying, you can do this. I prepared you for this before I gave her to you. And that's what I try to remind myself of every day. Before he gave me this child, he prepared me. There were things that happened in my life that I never would have thought about. I'm not a fan of the puzzle piece, but when I was Teacher of the Year, nominated Teacher of the Year, I had to do a video showing what my classroom was like. And I had different aspects of my teaching floating into a puzzle. And there were puzzle pieces coming in, and the puzzle was put together, and it was my students on the picture. My baby's baby shower was April the 2nd, which is International Autism Awareness Day. And all of these things, and I had taught all of these different levels of students at one time, is I'd have on the 1st grade level and a child that read on the 12th grade level in the same room and was able to teach them. So he had prepared me all this time for the gift he was giving me. But when I got the gift, I was not happy.
Well, I want to ask you, because one of your books, and I want everybody to be able to go out to Amazon is one of the portals for your book. One of 3 books, No Greater Love, Parenting Through Multiple Diagnoses. So I hear great teacher, gained achievements, and then we're in a different side of life. Talk to, how are you mentally? Take us through what you went through from Blue Ribbons teacher to now you have to be full-time mom. And, what is it that we can do to help you?
Pray. Pray. Just keep praying, because really it's like an uphill journey. And I realized that I'm very resilient, but your resilience muscle, and if you don't use it, you lose it. So just that I'll keep my resilience muscle built up. And I think that's what I've done. And what he's been able to do with me is that he keeps giving me trial after trial. And I have to keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back. And now I'm at the point where I'm just saying, I get up in the morning, I go, okay, God, I don't know what today looks like. I have not planned anything for today. It's kind of like I said this morning. The only thing I know is that at 5:04, I'm supposed to be on the podcast. Okay, God, could you make it so that at 5:04, I'm on this podcast? Because I don't know what's going to happen. And interesting, I'm supposed to have a nurse here right now. My nurse had a flat tire, so she's not here.
That's God.
So, but I'm on this 5:04 podcast.
Well, while you're right here at this point,
that's divine navigation and management going on right there.
Is there anything you want to vent, anything you want to talk about, anything you want to share with the African American community that they need to know right here? Is there anything that you want
to hiding? Stop hiding. Stop hiding your children. Stop hiding your mental status. Be open and honest and let people know, because if you don't let people know, you can't get any better and other people can't help.
I'm glad you brought that up. My pastor and I were having this very conversation last week after Bible study, because I actually had to teach Bible study on this very topic. And I was telling him a lot of Black America would be a lot more mentally and emotionally free if we knew how to bear one another's burdens the way we're supposed to. But if you come before people on a mass setting like this, or
Okay,
before
Mom.
the
Here we go.
church at the altar, and you lay your feelings bare, you
Come
lay
here.
all of your garbage bare, before the time service over, everybody in the city know your business. So that's a lot of reasons why we as Black people hide, because we cannot be vulnerable with one another. Again, it goes back to that Willie Lynch syndrome. We have been indoctrinated to profit or benefit off of one another's pain. We find it amusing. We find it entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it such a rush for you to take someone else's garbage, someone else's pain, and share it with somebody else, when if we open your closet, you hurting too? So I don't think it's that we want to hide. We don't know who to go to.
And that's the other thing.
We aren't safe.
Help.
Watch out, Mom.
We don't seek help, and we learn from our great grandparents and grandparents, or my grandparents, because I'm old. But
We all live on this thing.
pray about it. Pray about it. Pray about it. Pray about it. And I'm all for prayer. But God made counselors and therapists for a reason.
I agree with you, because it took me a long time. It took me just 2 years ago to start getting therapy, and I'll be 53 in August. And I had cancer at 17, 18, 19 years old. But I wouldn't go get any therapy and knew I needed it. I just wasn't going. The question was asked, when Amory hurts you, Yana asked the question, when Amory hurts you, do you tell her that she's hurt you? Do you let her know?
Yes.
How does she respond to that?
I have a beautiful daughter.
Yes, she is beautiful.
And God blessed me. I'm not gonna lie. God blessed me, because I only asked for 2 things when I found out I was pregnant. God, please don't let me have an ugly, bald-headed baby. I got it. But when she hurts me, she knows she's doing it. And she's doing it on purpose, because she's trying to communicate something that I'm not getting. So I've got to try to figure out what it is.
What it is.
And the interesting thing is, a lot of times when I tell her that, she laughs.
Delilah.
That's why I kind of laughed when you said, do I tell her? Yeah.
Have y'all started any type of sign language?
We started sign language with AIM, but AIM's fine motor skills don't really allow her to do it very well.
Okay.
But it's interesting because you can speak it to her. And we were at Our Lady of the Lake one day, and this woman, I told her, tell the woman thank you. You know, I'm just going, we tell her thank you. And the woman said, oh, she speaks sign. So she started signing. And I was like, wait a minute, I didn't say she spoke sign language. Hold up. Right. But Amory did exactly what that woman asked her to do. So she could read the sign language. She just couldn't give it back to her.
When other children, speaking of community, when other children who are innocent and honest, you know, not being malicious in any way, how do they react to Amory? And more importantly, how does Amory react to other children or her peers?
Well, that's kind of interesting, because Amory is 12 years old. She's about to be 13 in June. But Amory is 5'10" and
Good
weighs
Lord.
240 pounds. So
She's
she
tall.
looks at other children like they're little children.
Mhm.
She doesn't understand that they're her age, or even older than she is. Some of them, I guess she's like a normal child. Some of them she likes, and some of them she just looks at them and goes, she doesn't want any of them fooling with me. She's not a baby person. Like she would look at Delilah and smile at her, but that would be it.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
okay, go on, little girl. Now, sometimes if she likes them, she'll let them get close to her iPad, and that's
Okay.
how they know that she
She all right.
she's all right. Yeah. Yana, actually, I have a woman here now that's working with her on a communication device. So we'll see after this podcast is over how she does.
Miss Dorothy, Mr. Carlos, you have anything before?
Do you think it's taken seriously in the Black community?
Do I think autism or just mental illness?
Mental illness, period.
Mental illness, period.
I don't think it's taken seriously enough.
I don't either.
I think that we, as people of color, have a tendency to not really deal with things that we're not personally dealing with.
Yeah.
And if it's not personally affecting us, we kind of throw it off to the side because we have a bad habit of saying, girl, she crazy.
Mm-hmm.
When really there is something there that we need to check on and get worked on, but we don't want to admit it. So it's like a funny thing for us. You're crazy. Girl, you instead of saying, can we look at this? Let's stop and talk about this.
It's an issue. Peanut asked the question, what is some of the advice you can give to the Black community about mental illness? And being open. I'm assuming in being open about it.
Acknowledge it and allow people to show feelings without judgment, because that's what has helped me in my world, is that I was surrounded by people who allowed me to show my true feelings without judging me. And I'm still surrounded by those people. But the interesting thing is not people that look like me.
Wow.
So that's why I'm working hard to make me have a circle that I can pull people into so that they will feel comfortable enough to be open and vulnerable and know that this is a safe space with me.
And that leads into, in your opinion, and in your opinion only, do you believe you get an efficient amount of support from the community, family, or friends, or like they said before, the resources? Though anyone call you to share with you if there's new technology, new sciences, new things that's out there that could benefit your Amory?
I have one person who contacts me on a continuous basis about things that are available that could possibly help AIM, that could, be something that could benefit her. And she's in the room with Amory right now. I do have some friends who or acquaintances, I'll say that. Some acquaintances who will reach out to me and say, what can I do for you today to help with AIM? But what I find is that they don't look like me again. Hey, love, they don't look like me. That's her nurse walking in now. And that's difficult for me because I want people who look like me to reach out. And I want to reach out to people who look like me. Not that I want to leave the other ones out.
Right.
But I know that my people need the help. And
Definitely.
when I started No Greater Love, it was because I was in a world where I was surrounded by the other people, and the other people knew how to work the system. But my people didn't know how to work the system. So I decided that No Greater Love was going to be the connection, the bridge, because I was going to get the information from these people and take it to my people. But my people are still not opening up and still not saying, I need help. Could you help me? And I know it's a hard thing because I'm having to learn over the past year to say, I need help. Because we're always supposed to be the strong Black woman that doesn't need any help for anything. We're supposed to be able to handle everything. Right. And I found out that I was handling nothing and I was destroying myself in the process.
Yeah.
So
do you have family and friends to support at all? Any at all?
Can you all hear?
I did hear him, but I had to think about the question because I didn't want to say what came to my mind.
Right.
That's wisdom.
I'm in Baton Rouge. I came to Baton Rouge for my husband because he was from Baton Rouge. I am here in Baton Rouge alone. My family's in North Louisiana. So
I'm in Baton Rouge with you. I'm in Baton Rouge.
I'm so happy. And I'm here. My family's in North Louisiana. My daughter's now in a wheelchair. So I can't just get in my car and drive home like I normally would to get my help, to get my support, my family help. I do not have the support of his family. So that makes life a little bit more difficult for me now that he's not here. But I can't move her back to my home because she needs all her doctors that are here. You know, and it's just, you just get in this 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. But I have friends who have stepped up. And actually, some of them came in while she was in the hospital this last time and redid my house to be able to get her in it and get the bed that she needed and get her wheelchair. So that support I have.
So was that you said she was in the hospital, was your book No Greater Love, 21 Days of Resiliency birthed from?
Actually, No Greater Love, 21 Days of Resiliency was birthed from the first incident in the hospital when she was on ventilator 21 days. I talked about it in the No Greater Love multiple diagnoses book. And then I went back and I asked people, what did you miss in that book? What did I miss telling you? And they said, how did you make it with her on ventilator 21 days? So I wrote the book that told how I made it 21 days, not knowing that from May to August of last year, she was going to be on it 28 days.
Look, Alana.
Did you have one of your books with you for a little excerpt?
Hold on just a minute. Renee, would you walk back to my bedroom, look on my desk, and bring No Greater Love to me?
And since we're going to wait on that for just a moment, you have Journey of Hope, a 6-month special needs medical planner. Why is that important for those who need a medical planner? Talk about that.
You know, honestly, that book came from having binders and binders of medical notes on Amory. And every time I go to a specialist, I'd have a binder for that specialist. And I would, you know, it got heavy. So I made that book and compiled everything into one. It has a section in there where we talk about her meltdowns, her food aversions, her sleep patterns. I talked about all of that in that one book. Now, the interesting thing was that my husband had cancer, I got COVID, and Amory got COVID at the same time. Are you looking by my desk? Look on, it may be on the table by my desk. My book, No Greater Love, blue or purple, I think it's purple, and the journal, the journal. And if not, look in the armoire.
You were talking about the medical planner.
And Amory had to go to the hospital. I had to send her to the hospital with EMS without me because I couldn't go to the hospital because I had COVID. I handed them the planner and they found everything they needed to know about her in that medical planner.
That's great.
And that's so that's idea. That verse that come. It is geared and leans toward the autistic child because I have a lot of stuff. Like I had to do the blood pressure checks, the blood sugar checks, all of that for a month, for 6 months. And that's just how I did that one.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And we have the Journey of Hope, the 6-month special needs medical planner, the No Greater Love, 21 Days of Resiliency, and No Greater Love, Parenting Through Multiple Diagnosis.
Right.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The No Greater Love, Parenting Through Multiple Diagnosis was actually written when she was 7 years old while she was in the hospital. I wrote that book. Why you find the story of her life?
Why you find your favorite passage? If Miss Dorothy or Mr. Carlos had anything, why you find your favorite passage in the book, just to give us an insert?
I want to ask her, how is her eating? I know they be picky with their eating and certain textures of food they won't eat. So do she eat a lot, or how's her eating habits?
Well, before, because now she's on now she is only on the peg tube.
Okay.
But before she would go through stages. Mm-hmm. And before she got sick this last time, she was stuck on Popeyes shrimp and Chick-fil-A mac and cheese. Now it's funny, but that's what she would. Did you look in the armoire, baby?
Lala takes her tongue and stick it out and lick everything before she'll taste it.
That's all I wanted. I love you. She was trying hard. I was like, all I wanted was the book.
Mr. Carlos, did you have a question or anything before she read a piece, an excerpt from her book?
No, I don't.
All right, Miss Dee Dee, whenever you're ready, we would love to hear from No Greater Love, Parenting with Multiple Diagnoses. And you can find her books on Amazon.com. So go and purchase these books, not only for yourself, but for someone else that needs it, especially the planner and things of that nature. So please feel free to go take a look at her books and purchase some for other people, if not for yourself. Miss Dee
Yes,
Dee.
and we all need the awareness.
I'll Miss Dorothy, I have one for you here, autograph for you.
Thank you. I got one for you too.
I'm excited. It says,
I got one for you too.
I was being prepared for Amory my entire life. I felt that I was never understood as a child. Then God gave me a child who had trouble making people understand her. I used puzzle pieces to show my teaching world. I chose April 2nd as my baby shower day, the day that the world would get to say, we can't wait to meet you, Amory. My daughter was diagnosed with autism. International Awareness Day is April 2nd, and the universal symbol for autism at that time was the puzzle piece. I learned to use keys when I started playing the piano. My daughter's first sentence was, I have the key. I wonder if I've had the key all the time and I just didn't know how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting how a person journeys through this universe. Amory lives with autism, epilepsy, and myasthenia gravis with the most grace and elegance I've ever seen. We've watched Amory go through trial after trial after trial, coming out of it as though nothing ever happened. I wonder how she can do that. I wonder if I'm missing a greater gift in her. My daughter was granted the grace of God over and over again. Because she is granted that grace, my family is also granted the grace of God. Birthing issues tried to take her. God's grace stepped in.
Amen.
Seizures tried to take her. God's grace stepped in. Autism tried to destroy her mother. God's grace stepped in. The great flood of 2016 tried to take her. God's grace stepped in. Myasthenia gravis tried to take her. God's grace stepped in. God's grace has kept us all. There's truly something about God's grace when we take time to simply be still and meditate.
Amen.
Amen. That's
Love
beautiful.
it. Please go get Miss DELASBER Griffin Sanders' book on Amazon. No Greater Love.
I wish we
As
could pin it.
Peanut comes back in. Peanut may come back in.
Can you pin it?
That's the Journey of Hope 6 months special needs medical planner, Amazon.com. No Greater Love, 21 days of resiliency, Amazon.com. No Greater Love, parenting through multiple diagnoses. Thank you so much. And we're going to let Peanut, since this is the inaugural one, Mr. General.
Yes,
It was a pleasure, ma'am. God, thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you.
And we will get together soon, real soon.
Wait, Miss D, wait. Before we leave, can you give the public more advice on how we could better both deal with mental illness and how we can better educate ourselves in getting educated on
I'm going to be totally honest with you. When it comes to educating yourself on mental illness and dealing with mental illness, the way you can get better is to talk. Simply talk. Find someone to talk. And I don't mean go out in the street and just talk to people, because you got to find somebody that knows what they're talking about now. Don't go out there,
That's just like anybody praying for
talking to
you.
anybody, but find you a pastor, find you a minister, find you a counselor, find someone. And then honestly, read books about people who deal with mental illness. They write books all the time. They tell you about the mental illness. Shoot, No Greater Love was my mental illness coming into being, because a lot of it was dealing with her life, and I had to tell you about my life.
Right.
Acknowledge the pain in your life as what it is, because that's the thing. I had to acknowledge the pain in my life as what it was, because even though I had decided that I wasn't going to do to my daughter what somebody did to me, the night before my daughter was born, I told my husband to call social services and get everything that we had gotten her. She had everything, and give it to them and say, find her somebody worthy of her. But that
Funny
was
you
my
said
trauma.
that was a question. That was actually a question for you.
Yeah.
How did you feel like? Did you feel like giving your child up? You know, some people would think it's an
Yeah.
ignorant question, but it really isn't. You know,
Yeah.
we know a mother's love is there, but everybody pain is differently, and that
Yeah.
Yeah.
actually was a question for you.
And it was that day before she was born. And actually that morning when I went to Women's Hospital, because that's where she was born, I asked him, did you call social services? And he said, no, I'll call them in a little bit.
Mhm.
And every time I ask him, did you call? He tell me, no, just wait. We gonna get them. They don't have to rush. They don't have to rush. And when she got here, he said, I didn't call him because I knew when you laid eyes on her, there would be no way that you could let her go.
A mother's
But I
love.
had to acknowledge that that was my trauma coming back. And my trauma had me so traumatized that I was afraid that I wasn't worthy of my own child. So then I had to stop and think and go, what if that's what her name was Stacy? What if that's what Stacy felt with me? Maybe she didn't feel that she was worthy of me. So it helped me to come accept her leaving me a little bit better. But yeah, we need to talk, and we need to talk without judgment. Without judgment.
All right, so we're gonna
When your
wrap
mother
that.
gave you,
What you say, man?
well, let me ask one question, please. So
Oh yeah, go
when your
ahead, go
mother
ahead.
gave you up, did she have siblings? When your mother gave you up, did you have siblings that she kept?
That's the funny thing. Yes. Yes. My biological mother walked out of a house and left me at 18 months old with a can of peanut butter sitting on the floor. And she went and got on a plane and went to Detroit, Michigan with my brother, who was a year older than I am. I was found in a house because I was screaming, and the next door neighbor heard me, and they had not seen my biological mother in 2 days.
Oh my God. But you know that makes you a strong woman. That makes you the woman that you are today. You know, and trust me, Queen, you are beautiful, and you're
Well,
doing
thank
such a
you.
great job with your baby because you're her
It made
protector.
me want to protect her heart.
Can I ask you one more question?
Sure.
Do you fear that when you leave for the protection of your daughter?
Every single second of the day.
How do you deal with that?
I cry a lot. Um, and it's kind of interesting because my daughter I have one sibling, and that's my brother, and I'm going to be 55 in September. My brother is already 70. So he is really not a caregiver for my child in case something
Right.
happens to me. My brother has never been married. He has no children. So when he dies and I die, the only person left is Amory in my family. And it is heart-wrenching and gut just tears my gut up when I think about what's going to happen to her. And I don't really have anybody that I can say, will you take this on? Because this is a lot to take on. But I want to, and I'm working on
Just
trying to figure out.
keep in mind, God will place a hedge of protection over your baby.
Yeah, and I do every single day because
Okay.
her father died. He had cancer, but he was up and he was doing just fine. So we thought. And he died
Right.
unexpectedly.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
and that was February 18th of 2022. And then my best friend who would have gotten her had something happen to me, died March the 16th of 2022. And then my mother
Wow.
died March the 18th of 2022. So I went
Your
through
biological mother or the mother that kept you
my
growing up?
adopted mother. I will never call, when I say my mother and my father, I mean the people who reared me. I will never, I'm really being nice for y'all because usually I call my biological mother my egg donor and my biological father my sperm donor. Because that's all they did
Right.
was donate something. But it's a fear, and it's a fear I think a lot of, especially special needs parents have, because
Parents
we
period.
don't know who is going to take care of our child. And we also know that very few people are going to take care of our child the way we take care of our child. I
Amen.
just
Amen.
started leaving Amory
Yes.
with her nurses. Until 2021, Amory had never been away from me. So yeah, it's a fear, but I'm working on trying to get that set up.
We can wrap it up,
Trust
y'all.
God. Trust God.
And I say
He
it's
don't want
time
you
to
to
wrap
live in
it up,
fear.
ladies.
God bless you. God keep you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
You and Amory.
Thank you. She
Thank
was
you so
named
much
after
for
my
being.
daddy, Amos.
Ah.
We thank all the viewers and please go out and support her books. Amazon.
Y'all need
Yes.
y'all an outro like me. Y'all
Huh?
need y'all need y'all an intro and the out like how I be like is Pete that not the general woo woo woo?
Oh, we need to do.
Well, you
We
must
need.
Y'all
you
need that y'all
you
need one
must
of
go
them.
you must gonna hook me up. You must gonna hook me up.
I mean this y'all, you know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna
You
tell you what
understand?
kind of hookup I want. I already got in mind what kind of hookup I want.
It's all good.
I'm going to tell you this. I'm
Uh-huh.
getting ready to start a podcast, and I'm going to need you to hook me up, because the one thing I want everybody to remember is that you were created of greatness. You were created by greatness, and you were created for greatness. It's up to you to be great.
Fearfully and wonderfully made.
So
Amen.
if you
Amen.
is, you could come on the platform with your podcast if you feel like they got their own show. You could that'll be your if you want to, you know what I'm saying? And then you'll already have an audience.
Praise God.
Sounds like a game plan. Let's
Yeah.
talk.
Praise God.
Yes.
So y'all stick around because when we go off, y'all can still be here. So wait, I gotta tell y'all a couple of things. But we gonna so thank you, Miss D. You know what I'm saying? This
Thank
is a powerful
you.
interview,
Thank
and
you.
we with you. You heard me? You do
We
have
thank you for
support.
bringing us into your world.
You
Thank
got
you.
support from all of us, and hopefully we reach at least one person. You heard me? But until we find out, is Pete that not the general?
Amen.
No, see, this not even 2 other podcast. I can't even. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gotta get y'all outro.
1 hour with the elders. 1 hour with the elders.
Yep. It's Carlos, Miss B, and Miss Dorothy. You heard me? And this has been the hour and
That was
20
fun.
minutes with the elders. You heard me? See y'all next time. You heard me? Y'all don't
Love
go
you
nowhere.
all.
Don't go nowhere, y'all. Don't go nowhere,
Okay.
y'all.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Okay.